Hello everyone. Good evening, Saturday evening. I took the liberty of pouring a glass of Jack Daniels before I started, as I'm not in the kitchen tonight. I'm actually in the living room, even though I wouldn't call this a bloody living room, because I never sit in here really. It's just a frigging empty room, it really sort of like. So I spend most of my time in the kitchen. I prefer it in there, chained to the kitchen sink. Anyway, I just thought I'd spend like probably an hour tonight. You know how it is, boring. So it's a little bit of entertainment for me as it is for some other people, I guess. I just want to sort of like kill an hour, because later I downloaded off a dodgy torrent site that film Alita, Battle Angel. So I'm going to watch that tonight. Let's see who we've got. Hello, Steve. How are you? I am going to miss most of this. I have to get the wife from work due to train strike. Yes, there's been a lot of strikes lately, haven't there, Steve? There's been another strike with school teachers as well, which brings me to a point, because, you know, when I get off holiday, I've got things waiting for me. I've got mail. Here's one of them from Cambridgeshire County Council. I knew this one was coming. Dear Mr. Howard, your child, well, basically, I've got a £60 fine because I took him out of school. But I knew I was going to get the £60 fine anyway. But you know what? I didn't really mind the fine, but it's just at this particular time, the hypocrisy is outstanding. All these bloody teachers are taking time out of school and going on strike. And in most cases, the children have to go home because they can't be taught in school because the teachers are all on strike. But that's okay. But if I take my kid out of school during term time, I'll get fined. Them bastards who were striking should be bloody well fined. That's what I say. But they won't be, will they? Because the greedy bastards are after more money. And I'm sure they get paid enough as it is. Anyway, that's my moan about school teachers. Who else we got? Hello, Matty. How are you? It's Saturday night. I tell you what, I put the heating on. Flipping heck, it's getting warm already. Whew. Anyway, Matty, thank you for stopping by, joining this bloody live stream. I shouldn't think we'd talk much about cars tonight. You know, I'll tell you something. Going back to work after being away for a month, I've forgotten how to fix cars. I'm so used to doing nothing but walking around and just enjoying the scenery. It was not nice going back to work, I can tell you that. Sprograt. Hello. Hi, Alan. I have a problem with my 2009 Transit 2.4 turbo diesel. When I undo the oil filler cap, there is quite a lot of oil vapor coming out. Also, the air intake and MAF is contaminated with oil. Any ideas? You could have a bit of crankcase compression. It sounds as if, I mean, if you pull the dipstick out, are you getting like fumes coming out the dipstick as well? Because without knowing any history on this, it could be the fact you're getting some of the compression go past the piston rings and into the crankcase, and then it will cause pressure inside the engine, especially, and it will come up to the rocker cover, and it can like blow oil out of the rocker cover, or blow a lot of fumes out of the rocker cover and the dipstick tube. So it could be a bad breathing system, a block breather. I doubt if it's a block breather. There's more chances it's the actual piston rings itself. I'm not that familiar with the 2.4 transits because we didn't really do any of them. That's 2009. Yeah. I can't, do you know what? It's been a while since I've actually worked on them older transits. It's the main transits we've got are like the more modern ones. But I would, you will get a certain amount of oil build up anyway in most of these diesel engines, especially the turbo hoses and stuff like that. So I wouldn't worry too much if it's running perfectly fine, but I'd maybe check your breathing system. But like I say, pull your dipstick out of the dipstick tube, and see if any fumes are coming out of the dipstick tube, because it could be a sign that the piston rings are a bit worn. And you know, these transits, they all get, a lot of them, I don't know what the history in your one is, but a lot of transits, they get thrashed to hell, don't they? And by the time they get sold on, the engines are half clapped out. Jordan, hello, how are you doing? Alan, hope we can meet up sometime when you come back to the Philippines, bro. I thought you were going to call me a passport, bro. Well, I will be going back. I could go back tomorrow, but the fact is I've got responsibilities here, so I can't just flit around. I've got things to sort out. So, but yeah, if you're, I don't know when you're going over there, but sort of like when I get organised, I'll sort something out. So I keep in touch anyway. I've got about 1 million comments on all my videos I've got to go through, so I'm going to have to find like a spare couple of days, so I'll try and go through them all. So I haven't answered any comments in such a while. All I've been doing lately is going to work since I got back, going to work, coming back here, making my bloody dinner, and by that time I've done my little bits around the house. I just flake out. I used to stay up to like 2, 3 in the bloody morning. Now I'm in bed by like 9 o'clock in the flipping evening. It's just ridiculous. I'm going to have to start taking some bloody pills to keep me awake. Anyway, Jordan, nice to hear from you. Like I say, stay in touch, or I'll try and stay in touch. Me, hello. Think my alternator's gone on Mark IV Mondeo 2011, 2-litre diesel. Smell burning, voltage fluctuations, lights flickering. Also lost all dash power while driving on motorway at night. Well, normally you've got like the voltage regulator inside your alternator, but if the alternator wears out or it stops working, what will happen is all your electrics will slowly die. And to the point, when the electrics get down to, when the voltage in the battery gets down to below a certain voltage, then all the electrics on the car will start doing all sorts of funny things, because they're not receiving the voltage they're supposed to be receiving, until eventually your car just dies. And you'll have a dead battery, obviously. But that's a classic sign of the alternator packing up, like the battery slowly dying. So, and all your like indicators and headlights indicators getting slower, your headlights are getting dimmer, your wipers move slower, stuff like that. So yeah, it does sound like an alternator. Mr. Dave, hello. What are the signs of a knackered dual mass flywheel, if there is any? Bloody hell, Dave, where have you been? Where have you been all these videos I put out? That's what I want to know. Dual mass flywheels, a lot of it will depend on what car it is. But if I go by the cars I do know, like the Mondeos, they will start to rattle. You will hear them rattling. If you leave the car like ticking over, it can be ticking over nice and quiet, then all of a sudden you'll start hearing a rattle noise. But usually if you put your foot on the clutch pedal halfway down, you'll start, and you've got all your windows done up in the car so you can hear, you'll hear a rattle. You have to have the engine running, but when you put your foot halfway down the clutch, you'll hear a rattle from the gearbox area, and that's the dual mass flywheel. And in more severe cases, the actual whole car, you can have the car just standing there ticking over, and the whole car is like shaking like that, because the dual mass flywheel, the bearing in the center gets worn out, and it's sort of like the dual mass flywheel is turning like egg shaped, and it's causing the whole car to vibrate. But usually in the early stages, you'll hear a rattle, and that rattle will gradually get worse over a period of time. Don't think it's going to break straight away, because they don't break. They're pretty tough things, and once they start rattling, they'll rattle for quite a long time. But normally, till they get to the point they're so bad, you have to change them. Hello, Sam. How are you? I'm good. I'm doing good. I've got my Jack Daniels and I've got a beer waiting to wash this down. So yes, I'm doing very good. Nice to hear from you, Sam. Miroslav. I hope I said that right. How you doing? Do you know what is P2196 code? It's something about bank 1 sensor, too much air or gasoline. I don't know the code off the top of my head, but bank 1, if you've got a 4-cylinder engine, bank 1 will be them 4 cylinders. That's what it means. If you had bank 2, it'd probably be a V6 engine or something like that. But no, it sounds like it could be a lambda sensor or something like that. The best thing to do, without me doing it right here and now, if you Google that code, if you type into Google P2196 Ford or whatever car it is, I can pretty much guarantee somebody else has already typed that code in and wrote a little story about it or what to look for. But it sounds very much like a lambda sensor issue. So that's what we do a lot of the time. We'll Google a code if we don't know the answer straight away, and we'll read half a dozen car forums that are showing that code to see if anybody's had that and put an answer to it, what they've had. And sometimes, if you're lucky, you might get an answer that will fix your car. Chances are you might not, but in some cases you do. So it can be helpful. John, hello. My next car I'm looking to get a Mark IV Mondeo, preferably a 2.2 TDCi. Have you had much dealings with the 2.2? Are there any more or less reliable? We only ever had a few as taxis. I think we had probably about 2 as taxis. Hardly ever saw them. In all the time they were taxis, I don't even remember anything going wrong with them. They're pretty quick, so they're not a bad car to have. It's a nice one. I think as long as it's like everything else really, isn't it? If you give it the servicing and the oil changes and all that at the right intervals, fuel filters and that, maintain it properly, that's the best you can do. But I don't know of any major faults they have that would be different to the 2 litres. As far as I've seen in the past, they've been perfectly fine. So I wouldn't worry too much. If you find a good one or a low mileage one, then it's probably worth having, because they're not all that common, the 2.2s. So it would be a nice car to own. But no, I don't think there's anything that I can say that's bad on them or don't get it for this particular reason. Doke, hello. To be fair, it's not like it was a family jolly to Benidorm. I've actually never been to Benidorm. I've not even ever been to Spain. So, Sam, I have done the dreaded brake pad replacement, which cost £50 plus fitting, which was free as I did it myself. Do you know something? When I had my Ford Scorpio, and I'm going back some years now, I had the bright idea one day of going into a Ford main dealership and buying some brake pads for my car, because my car was pretty new. I thought I'd buy the pads from Ford. Do you know what? When they charged me £50 for a set of front brake pads, I nearly fell over backwards. I thought, I'm bloody going there again. I could have got them £20 down the road. But anyway, yes, you always save a bit of money if you do it yourself. Gary, hello. Alan, how long have you been fixing cars? And great to see you back. I've been fixing cars since Noah's Ark was built. It's probably been about that long. I'm going back to the 1990s. So a long time. Anyway, thank you, Gary. Mark, hello. Mark 409 87k, still on original Cambelt. Should I get it changed and water pump? Well, they say you should have the Cambelt replaced after 10 years, I think. So it's 10 years or 125,000 miles. So, I mean, you would probably think it's been like, I don't know, 14 years or 13 years or something like that. Even if you took the Cambelt cover off, there's a high chance the belt would still look very good. But at that kind of mileage, and simply due to the age of it, I would have it done sooner rather than later. It's not just that. It's sometimes they're worth inspecting anyway, just to have a look. I mean, in some cases, it's rare, but you might have an oil leak from a camshaft oil seal or something like that leaking onto the belt. You might see something wrong with the belt. It might be flapping around or something. But like at that mileage anyway, I'd have it done. And yeah, you do the water pump at the same time anyway, because the Cambelt drives the water pump. So you do the pair together as a matching pair, whatever way you look at it. Lucas, can you do some videos on alternators and how to work out whether it's Fubard? Oh, my S-Max Mark II, basically Mondeo Mark V, has a few issues. Also, can you show how to change the seat cushions? Well, we don't have any S-Maxes. I've done plenty of seat cushions on Mondeos, but they're probably different. You have to remove the seat, whatever way you look at it. If you take a seat out of a car, the seat cushions, they're not that hard to work out. You just sort of like, you can separate the back and the base of the frame in a lot of cases, and then you can just get underneath the seat and you can see where the cushions and the fabric fixes on. And you've got to pull the fabric out, and then you've got these little round clips that you have to prise out. It's a bit of a pain getting to the cushions anyway. So if you don't fancy a bit of a struggle, then don't bother, get someone else to do it. But if I get something like that, I'll probably show it on a Mondeo if I ever have to do one again. Alternators can be a problem these days because a lot of these cars have smart charging systems, whereas you can basically have your battery fully charged up and the alternator, you can put your multimeter across the alternator and it won't be charging, or it'll be charging very little, and you might think it's not charging properly, but it is charging properly. It's only when they only charge when the battery voltage gets below a certain voltage. So if there's any worries about your alternator, or if your car has done X amount of miles and you're going to go on long journeys or something like that, and you're worried your alternator might pack up, it might be worth just replacing it and putting a good branded, named new one on it. Then at least you know you've pretty much got a good chance of getting where you want to go. There's nothing worse than going on holiday or somewhere far away and your alternator packs up. So yeah. Terence, my steering is pulling to the left when accelerating and going back to the right when you lift off. Going over a left turn at 60 miles per hour feels like car will go into a hedge. Well, I wouldn't have said it was torque steer, but I should think, if anything, you've got a worn out ball joint or bush on one of your front lower suspension arms, or there's something wrong with your suspension. So I would get your suspension checked over properly, because if you get a worn out suspension bush or something like that, it can give you all kinds of problems like that. So that's the best you can really do. Or your tracking is miles out for some reason or other. Musket, hello. Has Monica left the garage now? No, she's still working there. Stephen, your feelings on electric cars and the infrastructure. I don't like, well, how can I put it? I don't mind electric cars. I think they're a novel idea, but what I don't like is the way that, like, you're being pushed. You feel like you're being pushed, that that's what you have to get now to save the planet, which is a load of bollocks anyway. It's all a big lie we're being fed about this climate emergency. There is no climate bloody emergency, and yet they reckon that electric cars. You see, it's the politics around the electric cars. If they just made electric cars and said, "Hey, you've got a choice now. You can have electric, petrol, diesel, hybrid. Yeah, these electric cars are the new technology. Do you want to buy one? That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. If you want an electric car, go and buy an electric car. It could be quite fun. But the thing is, you're being sort of like forced this narrative that that's what you need to be getting now. That's what you need to be worried about. And you know what? They're going to tax people on these electric cars from next year. No, not next year. 2025, I think. So all these people who have bought electric cars are thinking they got zero emissions. They're still going to get taxed on them, and they're not the future. Well, they might be a bit of the future, but they're not. They're not the be end and end all is what we're being led to believe. They cost an absolute fortune to build. They cost an absolute fortune to buy if you wanted one. They're not that bloody green anyway, because they run on electricity made by fossil fuels in the first bloody place. There's massive machines digging deep into bloody mines to get all these iridium and bloody precious metals to build these batteries, which are supposed to be metals that are hard to find, and they've got to keep digging deeper and deeper to get these metals to build these batteries. And what are they going to do with all these bloody batteries once they're dead? And batteries don't last forever. So, no, I don't mind the electric cars as electric cars for what they are. I just don't like all the politics that are being rammed down our throat about them. So that's about it. Anyway, I'm going to move on. Yeah, and also the infrastructure. Well, everybody knows it's not there. If you all owned an electric car, the bloody the electric network would crash, wouldn't it? Hi, Michael. How's you doing, mate? I've got 2-litre Ford S-Max TDCi Mark 1 titanium Duratec engine. I'm getting a 2P0202 code, low voltage. Any ideas how I can sort it? Cheers. Low voltage. You'd have to Google that. Just put that code in. You know what? What I would do is, because I don't, there's a few codes I do know, but I mean, a lot of codes I don't know off the top of my head. I'd have to sit here and literally Google it. So just put that code into Google with your car, like if it's a S-Max P0202, and see what comes up. Read as many forums as you can to do with that code. And if you get quite a few people giving you certain answers that is the problem, then you've got a high chance that that's going to fix your car. But don't go by what is always written on the internet, because in a lot of cases it's not going to be the problem you've got. But if you do Google it, I'm sure there will be people who have wrote things about that code. Just about any code I've come across that I need to find a bit of information on, I always Google it, and I'd say 8 times out of 10 I don't get an answer out of it. But there is information now. The trouble is you'll go onto a forum and people will be talking about that code, and you'll get to the end of the thread and there won't be an answer. You'll be very lucky if somebody actually comes back and says, hey, guess what? That thing you told me about that code, I put this on it and it fixed it. And in some cases you do get that, and then you can sort of like have a go at your car and it fixes it for you. So then you're happy. But that's what I'll do. Give it a quick Google and see what it comes up with. Sam at Sprograt, I can have a look at your vehicle. And Sprograt, no oil vapor coming through oil dipstick, new turbo 5,000 miles ago, 130k on clock, full service history. Oh. Adam, Hi Alan, hope you're well and enjoyed your holiday. I recently had a Ford Focus EcoBoost, or EcoBoom, as people call them. It had 65,000 miles on it. What's your opinion on them with these wet belts? I haven't had anything to do with them EcoBooms, but I did hear from the guy from Ford that a lot of them engines blew up because they had a coolant leak. They had some kind of water pipe or something got them. I might be wrong here, but there was some kind of coolant problem that was causing the engines to leak coolant and then overheat and blow up. And I think they've fixed that. That's been done. So apart from that, I think the engines aren't that bad at all, really. But the problem is these wet belts, they're not like a Cambelt that you replace on a Zetec engine. These wet belts are buried behind a timing cover, and it's going to be a very costly job to have them replaced. I've also heard that it's true actually, the pieces of rubber, very fine fibres that come off these belts, they can collect in your oil pickup in your sump and block your oil filler pickup or oil pickup, and then restrict the oil going around the engine. So, and obviously over the course of that wet belt's life, that's going to happen. So that if that was to block your oil pickup too early and it could cause damage to your engine, number one, before the belt was replaced. But even if that doesn't happen, the actual repair cost to have that wet belt replaced is not going to be cheap. So whoever owns that, I mean, these cars are very fine. They're all perfect when they're brand spanking new, and whoever owns them from new. But if you keep a car for 2-3 years, get rid of it, then the next person who buys it as a used car, they've got, say it's got 75,000 miles on it, and they say the wet belt needs doing 100,000. They're saddled with a great big bill in 20 odd thousand miles. So it makes you wonder, doesn't it? Are the jobs going to get done, or are they going to just get left? Jordan, I will be back before September. Oh, are you over there now, or are you still in America? I don't know where you are. Have to let us know. Stoyan, hi from Germany. Hello. When I start my Mondeo 2017 diesel, first few minutes it's a bit noisy. There is a ticking noise that goes away in a few minutes or a few hundred meters driving. Most of them engines are noisy on startup. I've noticed that a lot of them, some of them are quite rattly and horrible, and then they seem to be sort of like not so bad when they're warmed up. There are some of them that you start them up and they're perfectly quiet. You know, as a diesel go, they're quiet and they're really like nice engine. I get the feeling that a lot of it, and these are from brand new, and I get a feeling that when these engines are made on the production line, so many engines are made to certain specifications, but when they get to the end, you know, like machines have to be reset at a certain point, so all the tolerances that stay correct. I'm sure that some of these engines get to the end of the production line and the tolerances aren't that great. So these are the engines that rattle a bit more. But no, if your engine is making a little bit noise when it's cold, I wouldn't worry too much. A lot of diesels are noisy engines anyway. The only reason that they're really quiet these days is because they've been so refined and everything. I mean, a lot of it is the actual mechanical workings of the engine. They're made to such good tolerances. So, but no, a lot of them are noisy anyway. Don't worry too much. And then if you've got a noise there all the time, like a loud tapping all the time, then I'd start to worry. There are certain noises on them engines you do need to listen out for, like a flapping timing chain or something like that. But it depends how many miles you've got on your engine. And as long as you're doing the oil changes with the correct oil at the right intervals, then don't worry too much. Rob, diesel for the win. Well, where would we be without diesel? I mean, look what powers all the lorries. So, and do you know what? Diesel engines these days, you've only got to look at BMWs and cars like that. Even the Mondeo Mark 5s, the tailpipes are like squeaky clean. You could eat your bloody dinner off them. Flipping heck, diesels of the past used to be dirty old things, smoke everywhere and soot, but they're not anymore. They are so unbelievably clean. I mean, they've come a long way, and they flipping go as well, didn't they? A lot of these diesel engines, they're really quick. You know, a lot of people, you get in a diesel car these days, you wouldn't even know it is a diesel. Doke at Mark 360X, yes, get that changed pronto. Stoyan, I'm just not sure, is this normal for a Ford diesel engine? Yes, it is. I'll tell you, all the taxis we've got, so many of them, they'll make noises when they're stone cold. You've got to remember, diesels do not like the cold. This is what people seem to forget. Diesel engines do not like the cold. They are a compression heat engine. They like the warmth. So especially when it's cold, they don't want to run right, even though they've got them really refined these days. But unless, like I say, don't worry too much about a slight knocking or noise you're hearing when it's stone cold. Anything that's not perfectly right on a diesel, you could have a diesel injector that's not quite right. That can cause a knocking noise. So it could be a diesel knock. It could be a slight fault of an injector. But if it's going away after sort of like a mile down the road, or, you know, a few minutes warming up, then I wouldn't be too concerned if it's not causing any issues. If there is a problem, I'm sure it will show itself. Thanks, mate. Mimi. What kind? Sam, I have done Alternator on the Transit Connect and it is perfect now. How easy was it going through immigration? Did you have to fill out anything? Well, because they're playing their COVID business still over there in certain places, I had to take a rapid antigen test here at home 24 hours before I left for Heathrow Airport to fly over. And I use one of them online sites where they send you the antigen tests. You take the test. Well, you don't even have to take the bloody test, but you show them. You take a picture of the results, and you upload the photo to their website of the negative result. And within 15 minutes, they'll send you back a signed doctor's certificate saying you're fit to travel. That is important because that's a travel advisory to go over there. If you haven't got that, you're going to be in a world of crap because they're going to want to test you when you get over there. So if you get that certificate, if you need any help, you'd have to email me and I'll give you all the details. But if you got that certificate, then that gets you through immigration. And the only other thing was when I got to Singapore and I had to board the plane to go to Davao City, I had to fill out another form, giving my details and ticking a load of boxes on about this, that and the other. Am I bringing guns or gold or excess amounts of money into the country and stuff like that? It's just a formality, really. But they do ask you at the they're quite sort of like looking at you at immigration when you get to the. I can only speak for Davao Airport in Mindanao. They are looking at you like, are you hiding something? So they do ask you what you're doing over there, how long you're going to be there, and stuff like that. But it wasn't too bad. They seem to be quite strict on, you know, who they're letting into the country. Whereas when you get back to Heathrow here in England, it's just like rush to the bloody exit and just you're out. But no, if you need any more information, just give us a shout and I'll run you all through it. Michael, P02E2 code, yeah, just Google it. That's a bit of a strange one, actually. O2E2. If it was O2O2, I could, that's a bit of a weird one. Yeah, I've never actually seen that where you got an O2 then an E2. So yeah, I'll definitely Google that code and say what car it is, your S-Max or whatever, and see what comes up on the internet. I hate going back to work after a long holiday. I think I can probably speak for just about all of us. I tell you what, if I never had responsibilities, I wouldn't have gone back at all. I'd have just stayed there. But anyway, such is life. It's never that easy, is it? Michael, hi Alan, how are you doing? I've got a Ford S-Max TDCi Mark 1 titanium Duratec engine. I'm getting low voltage. Yeah, that's the one you just spoke about. Yeah, Google it. That's a bit of a strange code, that is. I've not even seen that code before. John, evening Alan, how are you? Nice to see you enjoying a JD. Yes, I got this. This is a bottle of JD I got given to me from one of the subscribers, Dave, who probably, I've got to message him actually, which I'll probably do in the morning. He popped in last week and come and see me, and he think we're going to a car show with Kevin next Sunday, I believe, in Ramsey, Cambridgeshire. So I think John's going to come along as well. So there'll be a few of us there. So we'll do a walk around this car show and see what they've got. So I suppose it will be a day out doing something. It's better than sitting at home. Anyway, nice to hear from you, John. 087 Mail, good evening to you as well. I bought a MG ZTT 1.8T Tourer with 90k on it for less than scrap value. Needs a lower arm at the back. Seems to be a decent motor. Oh, that'd be good then, because as far as second-hand cars go at the minute, they ain't cheap, are they? Well, nothing's cheap. People are holding on to their used cars, and they're flipping anything you want to buy used car-wise is pretty damn expensive at the moment. So if you've got a good deal there, then good on you. Imra, hello. Imra from Hungary, hello. Having frequent DPF regen on 2 litre TDCi Vauxhall Mondeo. I don't think it's the evaporator, because cat temp is 640 degrees during regen. I have turbo pressure. What do you think? Well, is it bringing up any codes? Is it bringing up engine service now on your dashboard? Is it throwing up engine management lights? Is any of that happening? If it's not, and there's no issues electrically that you can see, then I would leave it alone. So usually if there's a problem with the DPF system, straight away it will fling up an engine management code of some description. So you got to remember, you've got to take these cars. I don't know what your driving style is as well. If you're doing a lot of round town driving, it could be trying to regen all the time, and because you're only doing short journeys, it's not being able to do its full regen. That's why you need to go down the motorway and give it a good long run. Then it can do a proper regen. So, but no, if there's nothing actually showing up engine management wise, I wouldn't be that concerned about it. Aman, hello. I have Ford Galaxy 2018 Titanium. That would be a nice car. And that's the end of my JD. Well, that's the end of the glass. There's plenty left in the bottle. But but I'm going to have a beer in a minute. I'm not going to hang on too long tonight because it's Saturday night, and I think there's a lot of you probably go and watch Big Clive live, didn't you? So I won't be running up later than 10, but I'm hoping to finish by about 9:30. I mean, frequent is about 350 OMW. It should be 800. Yeah, well, I mean, unless you've got some kind of fault code flinging up or something to go on, then you're clutching at straws. DPF problems, especially on what I've had on Mark IVs, can be a right nightmare. So, like I say, if it ain't broke, don't try and fix it. I have 2018 Ford Galaxy. When I go on 5th or 6th gear, get down, come management light on fault code. I'm not quite sure what you mean there. When I go on 5th or 6th gear, get down. What does that mean? You put your foot down. You get the management light fault code on. You could have a fuel pressure fault there. But like I say, the best thing to do is type that code. That should have a P number, a P2563 or something in front of the code. You'd have to put that code into Google and see what it comes up with. If that was me given that code, I would Google that code and see what it said about it. Normally, when we connect a scan tool to these cars, if there's a fault, we'll connect a scan tool to the car, and our scanner will tell us like the number of the code, and it would tell us a description as well, of which will be sort of like a kind of pointing you in the right direction. So the fault code by itself doesn't really mean anything. All I need to know what the description is as well, because some of these fault codes, depending what cars they're on, can mean different things. But if you're in any sort of like total doubt, find someone with a scan tool who can plug it in and not give you just the code, but also give you the description of what is said. And if you've got one of these really cheap things that only give you a code, that's no good. You need a proper scan tool putting on that can give you a bit more information. Matthew, I have an AGM battery configured in 4scan, but it won't charge over 80%. Now you're in I don't know where land. Don't ask me that. Maybe your battery is faulty. Have you thought of that? That's all I can think. The alternator is going to charge your battery no matter what, as long as it's working, depending if you've got a smart charging system on it as well. The only thing that's going to stop your battery from charging up properly, I would have thought, is if you've got a faulty battery. So I don't know. It's charging at 14.7. That, the average battery would charge at between like 13.8 to 14.4 volts. So I'd have said that's slightly over, but not a whole lot over. So I wouldn't worry about that. If your car's got smart charging on it, then it's going to charge your battery up to a certain amount, and then it's going to stop. And that voltage will probably go right down until the battery gets down to a certain level again, then it'll start charging again. So it's like the battery's only going to get charged when it actually needs it, if you know what I mean. This is what all these smart charging systems do, and they're confusing because you can't just always put a multimeter across your battery and see what it's charging at, because you might be getting a figure that you think something's wrong and it might not be wrong. So, but if it's 14.7, it's not a bad That's actually a very good charging. If it was over 15 volt, I'd say it's overcharging. But at 14.7, I'd say that's quite normal for a lot of these modern cars. I mean, frequent is about 350 kilometers or so. As I know, it should be about. Do you know what? If there was a fault with your DPF, I can guarantee it would be blocked. It would get to a point within the space of 30, 40 miles, maybe a bit more, where it would throw up an engine management light. So if it's taking 350 kilometers before it does a regen, then I would, you know what, I wouldn't worry about that, because most of these regens, a lot of these cars, they're regenning most of the time anyway. You just don't even realise it. So don't worry about that at all. 350 kilometers and it's doing a regen. That's fine. There's nothing to worry about. Leave it alone. Leave it well alone. Just be glad you've got no engine management lights coming on, or engine service now coming up on your dash. Don't go looking for problems. I'm telling you, if there's a problem with your DPF system, your car's engine ECU will soon let you know, and you don't want that to happen because it will cost you a lot of money. Mize, hello. My Mark 5 is on 57k now, and it's always had this ticking noise on cold start that stops when the engine warms. Everyone says it's normal due to Euro 6 emissions and variable valve timing. I don't even know. I don't think they've got variable valve timing on them. They have. Mark 5. What is it? Is it 2 litre diesel? I don't think they've got variable valve timing. But we just had this question a while earlier. I mean, it could be anything. Without hearing it, who's to know? But if it stops as soon as the engine warms up, I wouldn't worry. Just make sure you give it the actual oil changes when it needs it at the right intervals. There's not a lot more you can do. Stephen, welcome back to the real world, my buddy. I prefer it in another world, you know. Anyway, hang on a minute. I'm just going to grab a beer. These are coronavirus beers. Look at that. Frothing. They never had any Beck's beer in Tesco, so I had to get this. And this is a little bit stronger. I prefer the Beck's beers, actually. Anyway, thank you, Stephen. Hello, Mondo. How are you? How is your belly for spots? Enjoy your live catch up with it tomorrow on replay with a headache. Ching ching. No, the insects like me. They like biting me for some reason. So no, I won't miss the insects. Shay, hello. What's the difference between the 1.8 and 2 litre Mark III Mondeo engines? You mean the Duratec? The Duratec petrol engines? Not much. And I actually think you can interchange them. You could swap the 1.8 for a 2 litre. There'd only be a few small differences. So Nothing much. A couple 100cc, that's really all there is. I don't know why they even made a 1.8. I think they're pretty rare, you know, because nearly all the rentals we've got, which are automatics, they're all 2 litres. Maybe that's probably why, because they're automatics. But nothing really. You wouldn't even be able to tell them apart. They look identical. And if there really are any differences, they're minute. It's probably best to get the 2 litre anyway. It's a bit more powerful. David, hello. 100% right on the climate scam. It's all about control. Yep, I know. We all know it, but what do you do when all the bigots with the power are the ones pulling the strings and pushing all this? The trouble is, David, as I found, there's too many morons in this world that actually believe this crap. I mean, we can sit here and we can see it as clear as day that it's all bullshit, but there are too many people out there that suck it all up and believe every word of it. So what can you do? Some people, you can tell them you can show them the evidence in front of them and they still won't believe it. So, but yeah, I do reckon there should be a dirty bomb dropped on the WEF and put a flipping end to that lot, because that's where it's all spreading from. Stephen, I could never afford an electric car. They're not cheap, are they? It would worry me. I mean, I suppose if you own one, most people who own an electric car, they get it from brand new because they've got the money to afford it. But it just makes me wonder how many years down the road, when these cars are sold off and they're used cars, who wants to buy a used electric car, knowing that at some point that battery, the main battery, is going to have to be replaced, or even the motor that drives the wheels is going to need to be replaced if that burns out. So I think they're going to be, I don't know, I could be wrong, but I think they're going to be big problems with them electric cars down the road when things start need actually replacing on them, and they will do. At Michael Bertie, the diesel engine is the Duratorque. Thanks, Alan, mate. It's the same engine as Mondeo Mark IV and Galaxy. Hi from Power. Hi from Estonia. Hello. How are you doing? I probably flew past your country a few weeks back, or over it. Hello, Michael. Thanks, Shay. That's what I meant. Lol. Phil, I have a question for you. I have a slight thudding noise on the front left side of the Mondeo. 200,000 miles. Change the wheel and track rod ends. No luck. Well, I don't know what to say to you. I would check over the suspension, obviously, and it might even be if you say thudding noise, but I mean it could be on a Mondeo. It could be the shock absorber itself. It could be a top mount, or it could be the ram. What is it, a Mark IV Mondeo? Because I know a lot of the front shock absorbers, the rams used to get worn a bit, and they'd give you like a knocking noise. And it's a pretty hard thing to actually put your finger on and say that's definitely what the problem is. So there isn't a great deal it can be. So if it's not a ball joint or a bush on the lower arm or something like that, then I would probably be looking at the shock absorber itself. And if you change the shock absorber, you may as well change the top mount as well while you're at it. Or the only other thing apart from that is to check all the nuts and bolts around the subframe. And I mean the subframe bolts themselves. I've had subframe bolts loose. And check all the suspension nuts and bolts and everything's tight. Because it has happened in the past, you can have a loose bolt, and I'm talking about a very small amount, and it can cause noises. So go around there with a spanners or socket and check all the nuts and bolts to start with, and get your suspension checked out properly. Jordan, I'm in USA. Oh, so I'll tell you what you want to do, Jordan. Leave us a message sometime. I'll leave you a message. I'll get hooked up with you, and I'll get Ken on to explain some things to you, because she's quite up with all this sort of stuff, and she can run you through this, that, and the other. So I mean, I'd have been lost without her. So she's very good help. So yeah, we'll have a little chat, and any questions you've got, we can run through it, and sort of like, because I've just done it, then it's still fresh in my mind what you've got to do and what to expect. So yeah, I'll catch up with me at some point. Maybe even tomorrow, and we'll run through it all. Stephen, good to see you. The electric driver seat on my Mondeo Mark IV is not operating. When I replace the fuse, it shorts out. Are these easy to get fixed? Well, if the fuse shorts out as soon as you put a fuse in, then I would say you've got either a wire chafed out under the seat, preferably, or one of the motors in the seat or something like that is shorted out. The best thing you can do, I would say, is to unbolt the seat and tip it up so you can get to the wiring. Disconnect the wires from the seat, and there'll be some multi-plugs, I should think, underneath the seat to bolt the wiring block from the seat to the car's loom. Disconnect that loom and then put the plug in. Put the plug in, then put a new fuse in and see if it blows. If it doesn't blow, then you know the fault is in the seat somewhere, and then it's just a case of looking at all the wires that you can see on the seat. So it's a little case of elimination there, but you've got to isolate it down to, is it the car's wiring loom, or is it the wiring loom or something on the actual seat itself? So if you know exactly what seat is the problem, then, like I say, unbolt the seat, disconnect the wiring loom, and then you can at least eliminate the seat. Fellow Tractor, hello, how are you? Terence, I had a 2005 535D BMW, and the exhaust was very clean. I think BMWs have been like leading the way, really, long before, as far as I'm aware, long before all the other diesels were pretty clean as they are now. BMWs were doing this years ago. I noticed the tailpipes on the BMW diesels years and years ago. They were so clean, and it's like flipping heck. They had this down to a fine art. They've made diesel engines so clean now, it's unbelievable. Obviously, when they're running correctly, that is. Retro, hello. Got rise in oil level on 2014 TDCI Mondeo. Any ideas? Is that a Mark IV Mondeo? I've not had the oil level rise on a Mark IV. You know, I would, if it's a Mark IV, I'm thinking because it's a 2014, I'd probably think it's a Mark IV. I would give it an oil change. I mean, how long has it been going on for? I would probably give it an oil and filter change, set the oil just below the maximum, and run it again and see what happens. Because you've either got, I would say, if it is definitely rising, it's probably a DPF problem. In which case, I would say the cure would be to replace the DPF or have it mapped out, one of the two. Cheaper to have the DPF mapped out than actually replace it. But if it is the DPF, it's either probably replace it or do that. But I would definitely change the oil filter first and give it a run for how many miles it may take. It'd probably take a few thousand miles and see if it definitely is rising. Because the trouble with some of these diesels, it could be something like I know I'm blaming the DPF, but it could even be the high pressure fuel pump leaking fuel through the seal into the camshaft area and then running down into the sump. So I mean, it's a process of elimination. But usually when you get the oil level rising on a diesel, it's normally down to the DPF. Hello Vivian, how are you? Greetings from France. Drove the Berlingo multi-space over here, 580 miles. Dismiss a beat. See you soon. Cheers, Vivian. Hey, Vivian, you're not coming back from France by dinghy, are you, any chance? Across the channel? No, that's bloody great. The multi-space. Citroen Berlingo. Well, anyway, have a nice time over there. The last time I went to France was many, many years ago, and it was in Calais. It was very quiet over there then, but I shouldn't think it's very quiet over there now. But anyway, I hope you have a lovely time, and I will see you if you're coming to the Ramsey show next week. So I'll see you there. Ford Galaxy 2018. We've done this. We've been through this one. Fault codes 2564 says turbocharger, boost control, position sensor circuit, range performance. Do you know what? Don't think that is possibly a turbo issue. I would check on where your fuel filter housing is. Just down the side, there's a solenoid, and below it there's another solenoid, and they're both them solenoids are connected to a load of vacuum pipes. I would have all them vacuum pipes checked that none of them are split or off or anything like that. Because if any of them vacuum pipes, just one of them are broken in any way, that will cause that kind of turbocharger boost control. So check your vacuum pipes, and if anything, I would say it could well be one of them solenoids that have gone weak or not working properly. I've had a few similar sort of code where it says turbocharger boost control, and it's been them solenoids. There's two of them. And one of them, like I say, one of them solenoids is bolted onto your fuel filter housing. So I think you've got to buy them. If you buy them new, you have to buy them as a pair. Although I think some people sell them second-hand on eBay, so you might be able to get cheaper ones. But yeah, that could well be the problem. So check all your vacuum pipes to start with. Steve, here at last. Oh, you're back. You've got a Big Clive live at 10, haven't you? I'll be off by then. I'm going to quit at 9:30. I only wanted a drink tonight. You know how it is. I'm bored. Sat in this stupid little house doing naff all. So this is my Saturday night entertainment. Liam, hello. Is diesel intake airflow control circuit low? Oh, I mean, you could think, could that be a throttle housing, something like that? The trouble is, some of these codes, they will point you to a certain thing, and you could be a million miles away from the actual fault. I would have to definitely Google that one, because that's a strange code as well. I think the best thing you can do is Google it and read as many posts as you can to see if anybody else has had that problem, and see if there's anybody's actually put an answer out there to it. It seems a little bit of a strange one. Liam, it will be the math sensor. Yeah. It could well be. You see, the problem is you need to know that the best thing to do with a mass airflow sensor is take it out, and first of all, and see if it's gummed up with carbon. If it is, then you can pretty much say, yeah, definitely. But although some of these sensors do go faulty, if that's the mark, well, the 2 litre TDCI, I mean, I've not really had one ever go wrong. So, but not to say that it's not that. It's worth a try if you can get one and give it a try. If you've got a mate with another car you could swap it with just to try it. I love cars that I get as spare or repairs. Well, yeah, if you're in that game, that's good. Adam, you're going back to that EcoBoost Ford Focus I had in the comment earlier. I got rid of it as the wet belt was overdue, as the car was 11 years old. So got a Vauxhall Insignia 2 litre CDTI. Such a great car. Well, yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Who wants to pay out to have a wet belt replaced on such a small engine? You would think that a little engine like that, you would it'd be a simple cam belt, or it'd be a little chain that you wouldn't really need any maintenance on. But no, they've got to go and fit a wet belt in it that's going to cost an absolute fortune to get replaced. And who can afford it? Especially as things are now, you know, we have to pay the electric bill, don't we? I mean, you've got to get your priorities straight. I am doing the IAM Road Smart Advanced Driving course and I am loving it. Oh, that's good. You can be a driving instructor after that, can't you? Vic, I've got a Vauxhall Insignia 2 litre turbo. Have got a P2282. Yep, you'll have to Google it. I don't do Vauxhalls. Well, I do occasionally when we get them in problems. Yeah. It's the same old story with Vauxhalls as it is with Fords. If you know what all the codes are, or you know what symptoms are what, and you can go straight to the problem, it's easy. But I very rarely get a Vauxhall in. But yeah, that P2282, just Google it. P2282 Vauxhall Insignia, and there will be a load of people that are talking about it, and I'm sure somebody will point you somewhat in the right direction there. Room, hello. Been watching your videos for a long time. Wanted to thank you for all your great informative videos. Well, some of them are informative, some of them are just stupid. Well, thank you very much, Room. That's very nice to hear anyway. I'm sure I'll put something out that's been of some kind of use. Brilliant. Thank you very much. And at this point, before I've got about 20 minutes left, you know, as I've been away for a month, well, when I got back, I have mail. And can you guess? Can you guess what these letters are? will you be in on the 23rd of March? No, because on the 24th of March, I pissed off to the Philippines. So, bye. The next one is a red letter. We like red letters. You know, this is all I bloody get. I don't get anything decent come from the letterbox. You know where I was in the Philippines? They don't have letterboxes there. There's not even any bloody postmen. Isn't it great? No one can send you bullshit. Dear sir, as you have not responded to our letters, you have left us with no alternative but to proceed with the first stages of... Do you know what? Do you know how many times I've had that same letter? The first stages, it's taken them 4 years and about 64 freaking letters to tell me they're in the first stages of their investigation. And this is the most recent one, which this one hasn't expired. Will you be in on the 17th of May? No, I won't. I will be at work. How can I be at home? I have to work for a living. I just thought I'd share with you these lovely letters I keep getting. We're giving you 10 days to get correctly licensed. Oh, I've got 10 days to get correctly licensed. Well, BBC, British bullshit company, you'd have to try harder than that. You'd have to send a goon to the door to threaten me. That's what you'd have to do. Then if he gets me on the ground and threatens to cut my head off, I might just say, I'll sign up. That's what it'll probably have to come to. Anyway, now I've opened my mail, we can move on. Vic, hi Alan, keep saying service soon. Service soon. We need to service the BBC. That's what needs to be serviced. But Michael, thanks Leon and John. I do know that air intake sensors are soaking with oil through the air intake pipe. If it's the MAF sensor, can I get away with aftermarket one, or do I need to go forward? You can get away with aftermarket these days in a lot of cases, but sometimes you can't. I can't give advice on that one myself because I've never had to replace a MAF sensor on a Mark V. But if it's full of oil, I'd clean it out first and see if it makes it any better. Far more. Hi Alan, my 2014 Ford Transit Connect 2.5 gasoline automatic, the pump in the transmission needs to be replaced. Do you have to repair the entire transmission? You'd probably have to take the whole thing apart. I'll tell you what you want to do there, because I don't really get involved in automatics, but I would phone up. It's Midland Automatics in Kettering. The guy there, he knows his automatics. He's very good. So anything that's automatic that's going to be involved, and we don't take automatics apart, I will phone him up if I've got problems, and he's ever so helpful. So I'll give them a ring, and they'll probably know the answer off the top of his head. Bass. Highland Bass from Holland. Hello. I was wondering, are you the boss or employed? I am just employed. I'm just a mechanic. By the way, loved your holiday videos. Well, thank you very much. There'll be more of them to come soon. Ford Galaxy 2018. When I go on motorway near 5th or 6th, engine management light comes on. I would say, yeah, If the light's coming on, then it's just a case of putting a scanner on it and getting all the codes. Sometimes you can have multiple codes, but it'll only be sort of like one code that's actually bringing the actual light on. Usually, if you're in high gear and you're putting your foot down and the light comes on, chances are it's a fuel pressure problem. And no doubt, I would probably say it's a diesel injector leaking off too much fuel back to the tank, and that's what's bringing your light on. But without seeing all the codes, it's hard to tell. Matthew, thanks, Alan. It's a brand new battery. I did a diode test and there was a bit of reverse polarity. Would that cause the lack of full charge? No, yeah, do you know what? I wouldn't even say that. I don't even know if a car battery gets to 100%. You know, that as a phone battery, they normally charge up to about 80%. Then after that, they will trickle the charge any further than that. Because remember, batteries do not like to be at 100%. The optimum in a battery is between 20 and 80%. So it might not even be a possibility that you can get a car battery to 100%. And about 80% is sort of like where it likes to be, if you know what I mean. So unless you've actually got your battery, if there's a problem with it, I mean, that's what I'd say. Is it causing starting issues? Anything like that? Is it causing any issues at all with the car? If it's not, and you're just looking at figures on it, then there might not be nothing wrong with it. And especially if these cars, they've got a smart charging system, it causes all kind of complications because it's not straight cut. The smart charging system, the way they work can be confusing to say the least. So unless there's an actual problem with your car starting with that battery, then I wouldn't worry too much about it. It's 12.5 when the car is sitting, but after a few days, upsets the stop-start. Yeah, well, you could have a battery drain. It might not even be a problem with your battery. You might be having something draining the battery. About 200cc at Phil Fagan Wishbone. I was getting a twanging spring on my titanium, but your video diagnosed my top strut bearing seized. Yeah, that's a common one. We even get that on the Mark V's there now. That the top bearings are notorious for seizing up when they run out of grease or just wear out, and you only got to turn the steering a bit, and the bearing, because it's seized, the whole strut can't turn properly, and of course the spring is jumping, it's going twang twang because the bearing can't turn properly. So yeah, quite a common issue. Phantom. Clinton, Ford Galaxy Diesel 2010, very long crank and grey smoke. Oh dear. Had injectors, glow plugs, fuel filter, no fault code present. Drive beautifully once started. Any ideas? I would say very long crank and grey smoke. I would say, I don't want to ruin your whole night here, but take the injectors back out and compression test the engine. If you're getting around about 200 pounds per square inch in each cylinder, then your engine is knackered. A diesel should be, you should be getting, because it's probably an old engine, you're probably realistically looking around about 280 to 300 pounds per square inch in each cylinder. But if your cylinders are down to about 200, you need a new engine, or you need the engine taken apart. It's just lost its compression over the course of time, and that's why it's hard to start. You know, a lot of these engines, it's very much the case of sometimes it's the glow plugs and sometimes it's the injectors, but there are cases where it will be low compressions. So get a diesel compression tester, and that would be your next port of call. And like I say, if the compressions are down to around about the 200 psi mark in each cylinder, then your engine is the problem. Power, good. Fellow tractor, any issues with rusted through radiators on the Mark V Mondeo? Mine needed repair, and the mechanic said it's not an uncommon issue, at least not in the ones made since. We've had a lot of leaking radiators on the Mark Vs, where the core joins onto the main body of the radiator. Yeah, we do have quite a lot of them leak. I wouldn't say rusted through, but we have a lot of them leak. In quite a lot of cases, we put rad weld in, and that seals them up. So, but yeah, they're not the best of radiators, and that's for sure. Glow plug relay control circuit. Stephen, good night, Alan. Need to go. Enjoy your chat here. Have a good. You too, Stephen. Good on you. Have a good evening. It was Eurovision or Alan's front room chat tonight. You know, I think that the Eurovision Song Contest is like, I don't know. I don't even watch it anymore. I think I watched it back in the days when ABBA won it. So, what was it? Waterloo. And that was a bloody long time ago. I'm sure, you know, I'm sure it's biased. I'm sure a lot of these countries that they're all gunning for certain singers. Steve, Big Clive starts at 9:05. Well, flipping heck, I thought it was 10 o'clock. Well, I'll be off. It's now 9:22, so I've got 8 minutes. Then I'm going to call it a night because I've got a film to watch. BBC ? Yeah, the British Broadcasting Company. They keep sending me letters telling me I need to buy a TV license. I don't want to buy a TV license. I don't want to spend my hard-earned money on a company that funds terrorism. So I'm not sending the BBC any money. They're going to have to come and get it off me. We have the same TV mafia here, and I just ignore them. I think since 2016, since Donald Trump got elected in America as president, and Brexit over here in England, a lot of us have actually seen the divide. The main before 2016, I guess for me personally, I didn't really take much notice of the news. I just watched it and that was it, and whatever. But since Brexit and Trump getting in power in America, you have seen the literal hate on the left, and you know you can see the divide so clear now, and it's like companies like the BBC, the government, you can, and the climate bullshit crisis. I mean, it's like I've just lost credibility in the government and all these companies and entities. I just don't give a shit about them no more. As far as I'm concerned, they're all wankers and they can go fuck themselves. That's all I can say about it now. I don't care about them no more. I just live my own life, and fuck them all is all I say. I'm not interested in anything they've got to say. No matter what crap they're pushing, I'm not listening, because I know they're spewing a load of old rubbish. Anyway, should we carry on? Michael, thank Helen, I'll do that. Okay. Yeah, I think the globalists, the globalists have just cut us off. Anyway, I think we've come to the end of the stream, so I'm about to call it a night. Julian, hello. Hello, Julian. You're at the end of the live stream. The last few comments. Matthew, thanks for your help, Helen. I'll get it looked at for a drain. Have a good rest of the night. You too, Matthew. Have a good one. Steve, Arrow radiators in Melksham are the rad fault to use. They can fit a new core. Oh, that's good to know. Thank you, Steve. And that is it. We're at the end of the live stream. So I'm going to call it a night. Thank you, everybody, for coming on. I just thought I'd kill an hour and a half tonight, as it's Saturday night and I've got nothing better to do. Oh, 1 minute. A new comments come in. Bob, hello. The new EcoBoost engines post 2020 are all now on timing chains since their course. Well, that's a bloody good thing, isn't it? At least if you've got a timing chain in your engine, if it's a decent chain, you can probably say to yourself, well, I haven't got to worry about that anymore. It's not going to cost me nothing to change. So, yeah, that's good. Ford have actually done something right and got rid of their stupid wet belts. Brilliant. Anyway, thank you, everybody, for watching. Have a good one out there. Hope you all had a drink tonight, as it is Saturday night. I'm going to go and watch a movie. So, good night, everyone. See you all in the next one. Adios. Good night. See ya.